robust art scene in the city of Victoria. Surrounded by Pacific waters via the Juan de Fuca Strait, nestled deep in the southern tip of Vancouver Island. With Victoria being ranked as having one of the highest costs of living in all of Canada, unfortunately, many talented artists find themselves having to work one or even two full-time jobs to try to make ends meet.
Don't leave me behind, don't leave me behind, don't leave me behind. I said I was fine, but please don't leave me behind. Don't leave me behind, don't leave me behind, don't leave me behind.
Victoria is celebrated for its distinct artistic community in graffiti art and public murals, especially in Esquimalt.
Just leave me, I'm fine.
It has a unique appeal to many artists, a strong creative community with a vibrant, intimate arts culture. Truly a significant arts hub for Canada.
Thought I was fine, but I can't get
With
you
its beautiful
out.
landscapes, bringing people together from all over the world. Which brings our story to one of our own renowned artists in Esquimalt,
Michael Richard Johnson. I grew up in Winnipeg, but I was born on the West Coast. I just recently moved to the West Coast about 6 years ago to be closer to my mom and my father. I just miss my family a lot and just want to spend more time with them. And as far as being a Canadian resident, I don't think it gets any better than being out here. I love it here. As a graffiti artist, you can paint out here like 12 months of the year. In Winnipeg, you got 4 months you can paint. It's freezing, it's like minus 40. So half the reason and the appeal of coming out here to Victoria was the fact that I can do this kind of like 12 months of the year. I've been painting graffiti since I was 19 years old, painted in Montreal, painted in Toronto, I painted in Calgary, I painted all across Canada. And airbrushing 28 years. I've been tattooing for 19 years full time. Every tattoo that I do, on people, I change people's lives permanently. And the trust that they give me, and I think tattooing is sacred art. Done a lot of healing for me. I was in a city where there was a lot of people around pain. I may have to just take a minute. Being an artist full time is not easy. Everyone wants to be an artist, but there's a lot of work that goes behind it. And when I started tattooing, it really changed the level of the vibrancy of what I'm doing, or the vibration of my art, I think. But I will tell you this, and tattooing is definitely the biggest compliment as an artist I could achieve. It doesn't matter if it's a little tattoo about that big, or if it's a full sleeve. These are moments for people that mean a lot, right? And it's an honor to do that work. But there's also huge pressure in regards to that. That stuff that people take to their grave, they're going to have it with the rest of their life. People have connections with this stuff. There's a reason why they get it done. It's not me to judge what they get done, but I am there to give them the best piece of art with their idea that they can get done, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a billboard. They're a walking billboard for my work for the rest of their life. So to stamp somebody with a tattoo, whether it's a sleeve, a little flower that they get connected with their girlfriend or whatever, I'm just there to do the best art and have a connection with the people that I tattoo. Well, when I tattoo people, I feel a lot of emotions, and sometimes I get really sick after I tattoo because of the energy I put into them and what they're healing with or what they're going through. And I'm kind of like a vessel, heal people through my tattoo work. My clients help me, quite honestly. And I'm actually kind of particular. It's I need to have a connection with the clientele that I tattoo. I just want to give people good experiences with what they're doing. I express myself in so many different forms of art that this is just a small side of what I do. Tattooing is it's kind of like a quarter of my actual art career, if that. Well, I got brought in from a crew in Winnipeg. I was a dancer for years. And from dancing, you know, when it was very underground, breakdancing, it wasn't even like Red Bull stuff that was going on that you see now. I used to get VHS tapes from like Bag of Tricks from Toronto, the guys who were like Chaos's crew. It was very underground. But from meeting those people, it opened myself up to graffiti art. And then from graffiti art, I got into airbrushing. And then airbrushing is what got my way into tattooing. A b-boy is somebody who just expresses themselves to the four elements: breakdancing, DJing, MCing, graffiti. Those are the four. It's a cultural thing. It's a form of art, number one. Breakdancing is definitely an art form. I think it's great that people are getting exposed to this stuff that they didn't understand. And now it's in the Olympics, right? And it's kind of like, for me to actually even see that breakdancing is even in the Olympics right now makes me happy, but it's kind of ridiculed a little bit from the guys who are OGs, like people who are doing it for a long time. The roots are going to be different from everybody that actually has experience from that, right? I mean, the roots comes from, 1972 New York? Graffiti culture. It's different for everybody. It's a form of expression. And if you pull something from it that you love, just run with it. And it's usually if people are tagging, and that means a good graffiti scene, that means it's a good art scene and good culture. And you know what? What they were trying to do in the 70s, those were people who were just had nothing. And that's how the art started. And you know what? The media has a tendency to try and make us look like villains when we're actually just like a bunch of suburban kids just trying to do something cool. It's a confused art for sure. And what I try and do is I try and break the barriers about that. I try and actually educate people in regards to the art. And it's not just because you paint graffiti doesn't mean you're a gangster. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Half the people that I know who paint graffiti, they have 9-to-5 jobs painting houses and they have kids. And they just do it out of pocket to put something beautiful up on the street to change people's views, But the tagging is where things get kind of misconstrued because a tag kind of looks, people don't understand it, they can't read it. Graffiti's been going on since caveman days. Number one, cavemen were writing on the walls. They were chipping in whatever little diagram it was. Egyptians have been doing it. Mayans have been doing it since the dawn of age. That's graffiti. The definition of graffiti is the application of a medium on a surface where it should not be. So whether it's carved into a tree, or you carve it into a park bench, or you write it with a piece of lipstick on a mirror, or you do it whatever, it's just a form of expression. Let's get real. Graffiti is not supposed to be allowed, right? That's real graffiti. And there's a lot of like really terrible stuff going on. And it's like, I'm not an anarchist, but I'm definitely a rebel. And I like to make people think. It's very hard to do anything original now because everything's kind of just been redone. And this being redone is regurgitated. And people are scared to try and put themselves out on a limb, I feel. So I'm trying to be that guy. An inspiration to other people.
Don't leave me behind. Don't leave me behind. Just leave me, I'm fine.
Just one more example of the power of art and diverse expressions, creating strong bonds within our lives. And sharing our creativity with the world is something that brings us all together regardless of religion, race, or gender. Embracing our similarities rather than differences, which brings us to our next artist.
I was born September 2nd, 1969, and I'm a visual artist. Met my wife in New Westminster, BC, and I have been married since 2000. My wife and I moved to Vancouver Island in 2004. I think one of the most rewarding parts of my life was meeting Regina and creating a family. My earliest memories of making art was being at my grandmother's house when I was young, and she would put the art supplies on the kitchen table, and she wouldn't give me any direction or instruction. She would go ahead and make something. In 1990, I attended Kwantlen Polytechnic University in Surrey. I took one semester foundation fine arts. Primarily a landscape artist. I work in oil paint, watercolors. I create paintings in the studio, but I also work outdoors, which is called plein air painting. That's taking the materials outside and working directly from nature. Enjoy drawing, painting, printmaking. But I'm also a carpenter, so I enjoy building things that are useful, things that I can use, like my own equipment, easels, furniture, and things that I can build myself that I don't have to pay a lot of money for. I find the advantage to making your own equipment is when it fails, it's pretty easy to fix. I do a number of types of printmaking. One of them is relief printing, which is carving a block of linoleum, covering it with ink, and making an impression on the paper. I've always drawn comics, that sort of thing, for as long as I can remember. It's probably even in grade school. And it's kind of a release too, because some of the characters in like comic strips, I think one of them's probably my alter ego. He kind of looks like me and faces the circumstances an artist would face. And that way I can make, use some humor to sort of dispel any of those things that are bothering me, like the art world. It becomes a business, and there's many wealthy people that collect art. I don't know if they enjoy the art or if they have any real appreciation for what it is. I think in some cases, it makes it more of a commodity than about the art. Something for someone to own rather than maybe appreciate. That art that's at the upper end of the market it's like an investment. Honestly, I don't think I have an idol or a specific artist that I look up to, but there are a number of artists that have influenced me. Vincent van Gogh started his art practice late in life. He died when he was 37 years old. The suicide. He had a very troubled and tortured life. Didn't realize any financial success. Didn't sell any of his work in his lifetime. So there's a bit of irony there. His paintings now, the most sought after paintings by him, sell upwards of $30 million. What I like about that artist is he was self-taught. In the short time that he practices art, he created well over 1,600 works of art. Some of them are drawings, some of them are paintings. But he was very dedicated to producing art the way that he saw it should be made. The Impressionists, the Post-Impressionists, the Group of Seven, the Canadian painters, Tom Thompson, Arthur Lismer, they created a new kind of art. They broke away from the traditional art, which was like a lot of religious subjects. And the landscapes were very idealized in the 17th and 18th century. And the Impressionists, something that they did was they painted subjects of ordinary people, which at first was frowned upon. But they painted real people, working class people. I find that when I'm creating art, I'm solely focused on making the artwork. For me, it's an escape from everything else that's going on in my life. Become completely absorbed in what I'm doing. I think every artist, whether they are influenced by other artists, I think an artist over time, when they practice their art, they develop a style that just comes naturally out of their process. They have a style or a certain way of doing something that's uniquely theirs. One difference between a graffiti artist and a muralist is perhaps a muralist would be a sanctioned artwork. It would be something that a space is provided. It's all legal. The property owner understands that they're going to be creating art. And an underground graffiti artist is different in that they're doing something that's illegal, that's considered vandalism by a lot of authorities. But as far as them both being art, I think they're on the same levels. There's a creative expression of the artist has. The art will develop in the way that it develops. I start out with a fairly clear idea of what it is I want to accomplish, but in the process that I'll get new ideas while I'm creating the work, and I'll incorporate those, and the work will turn out the way I believed it would at the beginning, but it always undergoes a transformation process as I'm doing the work, which can be very pleasantly surprising when it's finished. I have had the idea of possibly doing a mural for a public art project. I've had that thought.
Don't leave me behind. Don't leave me behind. Don't leave me behind. Leave me behind.
Art takes countless forms, and the artist within each of us shines in unique ways. From our friends and family to our neighbors, we all resonate with different styles and expressions. Our next artist, from the Tlao'Ka'at First Nation, is a proud and inspiring talent representing our Esquimalt community.
First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations for being on their territory. My spiritual name is Kakwim Klutzma. Translated into English is Killer Whale Woman. Killer Whale Woman is the killer whale is strong, family oriented, and intimidating. I'm very honored that I got the name. My heritage is a Nootka Indian from the west coast of Vancouver Island. My band is called the Colquitt First Nations. Both my parents are from that band. Tofino and Ucluelet are where the angels go for their holidays. And it's true because it's so beautiful up there. On the west coast, which we deal with cedar. We have cedar hats, cedar capes, cedar sashes, roses, headbands. And this year just learned to do a cedar bracelet for the very first time. And I felt really rewarded. And I come from a family that has a long line of carvers. We also, in ours, we have what we call chuppets, which is a canoe. It's a dugout canoe, literally dugout. My goal is one day to be in one and travel in one. And this beautiful piece of work is from one of my uncles. This is called a talking stick. And traditionally, when you're at a gallery and somebody's holding the stick, no one talks. Oh, no one. Out of respect to the talking stick, whoever has it gets to speak. And the jingle dress, there's 365 coins on a dress for each day of the year. And when they first made it, it was a husband and wife that always make it. Because the husband would straighten out tobacco tins and then make it into cones, and then the woman would sew it on the dresses. Each feather that the guys wear, they're all earned. Everything is earned. We don't just get given stuff. We earn it. With my beadwork, I've come a long way on doing a lot of beadwork. I've done earrings, necklaces, bracelets, rings, brooches, and medallions. I was in my 30s when I started to learn native art. First time I picked up a needle and thread. First time I made a dream catcher. But it helps me with my healing. Doing my beadwork, doing my pattern, like it's more of a healing. I get to forget about the world and all the tragedy, the negativity that's going on out there. It gets me focused in on thinking and feeling good thoughts. And I think of family and friends that make prayers. And not just family and friends, but and people in general. And I don't just pray for my family. I pray for people that are in the streets, in the hospitals, the prisons. And I don't know if other artists, First Nations artists do it, but I know for myself, I do lots of prayers and lots of positive things within my work. I think it's because of the fact that, because I'm dealing with the little tiny thing, a lot of tiny beads that I can just stay focused and pick up one bead at a time. Also was taught not to take a bead out if I put a different color bead in there. It's meant to be. And I was told that it's a spirit bead. It took me a while to get used to doing it because I wanted to be perfect. And I know I'm not. And it's okay to make something different. And I do go down to the Inner Harbor in Victoria and I sell my stuff. Let's do orange t-shirts. I'm like, okay, because you come up with a design, now print it. So we did. I decided that I wanted every child matters in a circle. Presents this young lady, this young girl was taken to residential because she had a really nice orange shirt. And she thought, wow, this is so pretty, I get to wear this. Because you weren't allowed to wear your own clothes at the time. They took it right away. And she never, ever saw it again. So that's why the orange t-shirt that's what that represents. And we also, you wear it for the ones that have not come home. That didn't get to go home from residential school. Then our next project we did with t-shirts is No More Stolen Sisters with the red dress. And that represents the murdered and missing Indigenous women, girls, men, and two-spirited. It's because we represent for the ones that have gone missing and murdered. I've been touched up by as I said, myself as well. When people don't understand our art and they joke around about it, I get defensive. I get hurt because this is Canada's history. I love it when people ask me questions about our traditions, our culture, our art. No. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, no, you honor me. You honor my ancestors by asking. Understanding the different arts that our people have. You know, some other people that I know have put so much unique art out there. Then it gets copied from somebody else who actually made it. Was it a First Nation person? No. That's why, for me, buying it from the First Nations people. Yeah, just ask if you can take a picture.
Don't leave me behind. You know that I'll be fine. Thought it was fine. Funny how time flies for you, my dear. Past my mind, souls forever